What's up, everybody? Jordan McAbee here, lead NASCAR analyst for RotoBaller. We're coming off one of the most exciting and closest finishes in recent NASCAR memory from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and now the NASCAR Cup Series is traveling to another exciting city in Las Vegas for the Pennzoil 400 this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And we're here to break everything down, talk about the favorites, talk about some bets, and see who we should like heading in to Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. Now, this track is a traditional 1.5-mile oval. It's considered a low-wear track, although tire wear does come into play a little bit more when it comes to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. When we're analyzing these 1.5-mile traditional ovals, we're kind of throwing them all into a group together. So we're looking at specifically Las Vegas. We're looking at Kansas. We're looking at Charlotte. We're looking at Texas. But going even more specific this weekend, when we're looking at Las Vegas, we're really looking at just Las Vegas and Kansas because these tracks are so similar to each other. This is the very first non-drafting race of the season. So this should answer a lot of questions, but that also means that we have a lot of questions going into this weekend because this is back to the traditional racing and we're not focusing and relying on the draft to be an equalizer for these cars. So we should see the cream rise to the top and the better drivers at these specific tracks run up front. A lot of questions, though, heading into this weekend, specifically, again, around Toyota and Ford, their new body, will it perform? We saw what it could do on super speedways, but this isn't a super speedway race. This is a cookie cutter race. So we're keeping our eye on that and seeing what these teams can do. Specifically, Front Row Motorsports with Ford. They looked great in the first two races. They were legitimate contenders to win at Atlanta. Will that Tier 1 Ford speed continue on these 1.5 miles? Front Row Motorsports, specifically Michael McDowell and Todd Gilliland, did not perform the best on these type of tracks last year. Will we see an improvement with them? Will the Stewart-Haas Fords continue to struggle at these 1.5-mile tracks, particularly Chase Briscoe? Chase Briscoe was not good at these traditional ovals last year whatsoever. He ran in the back of the field on speed for pretty much all of them. Well, how will Rick Ware Racing do? We know that Justin Haley switched over to Rick Ware Racing, looked a little competitive both at Daytona and Talladega, but will that be the same Rick Ware Racing that we're used to? Is it still going to be a bottom tier team? We don't know. And then Legacy Motor Club, they switched to Toyota. Are they going to be a tier 1 Toyota team? Are they going to have the same speed as 2311? We like to think that all of these Toyotas are in the same camp. Will we see Legacy Motor Club get a big boost in speed when it comes to this weekend compared to what they had last year because they were a lower Chevy team? We should get some answers this weekend, but there's going to be a ton of questions, and there's still going to be questions when this race is over. But let's focus on the favorites. Let's look at the favorites heading into this weekend. Sportsbooks have Kyle Larson as the heavy favorite heading into the Pennzoil 400 this weekend. He won the fall race here last year. He led 133 laps. He was second in the spring race here last year, leading 63 laps. There is a reason why he's the heavy favorite, and it makes sense. Best average running position at Las Vegas and Kansas over the 4 races there in 2023, and it's not really close. Kyle Larson was the best car at these 2 tracks last year. He is the heavy favorite from Sportsbooks. Will he be able to continue that? We're not sure, but there's a reason why he's the favorite. William Byron, his teammate, is right there with him. He's at 9-1 at most sports books. He won the spring race here last year, led 176 laps. He had a 5.5 average running position in the fall race. Not quite as good, but still very, very solid. But with Larson being such a favorite this weekend at Las Vegas, it creates value down the betting board. And I want to go over a couple guys that I'm targeting down there when it comes to bets this weekend, and particularly who could upset the Chevy or the Hendrick Chevy favorites. I'm looking at Ross Chastain. I really like Ross Chastain this weekend. 3 of the last 4 Las Vegas races, he's had an average running position between 3.8 and 5.7. That is very good at a racetrack like this. He's sitting at 18-1, which I had to bet. I already locked in that bet this weekend. This week. It has since moved down to 14-1. Not quite seeing the value there, but I did like the 18-1 with Ross Chastain. As far as finishes, top 5 finishes in those 3 races that we just talked about with a great average running position here at Vegas. So Ross Chastain can definitely contend here in Sin City. When it comes to the Toyotas, all of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas should look very good this weekend. Most of them are sitting in that 10 to 12 to 1 range when it comes to betting odds for the Pennzoil 400. Christopher Bell had top 5s in both Las Vegas races last year. Denny Hamlin had an average running position of 6.8 or better in all 4 Vegas and Kansas races last year. And then Martin Truex Jr. has been a top 10 competitor on this track pretty much every single time that we have came here. Now, when it comes to Toyotas, we can't forget about 2311. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, both of them have wins at Kansas. Like I said, Kansas is the sister track to Las Vegas. So if they're good at Kansas, they should be good at Las Vegas. We should see plenty of speed out of not only the Joe Gibbs Toyotas, but also the 2311 Toyotas this weekend. Speaking of the Toyotas and a long shot that I like this weekend, Ty Gibbs in that 54 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's sitting at 28 to 1 right now on DraftKings, which is a little longer than most books have him. He's had bad luck on this track type overall, which makes his record look bad. And when you're analyzing everything, you kind of look at Ty Gibbs and you're like, do I really like him? But here's the thing. He's maturing as a Cup Series driver. He finished last season off very strong, 3 top 7 finishes in the last 8 races. He qualified 4th and 11th here at Vegas last year, so that's the type of speed you like to see. He just needs to bring it home. I think it's worth a sprinkle to bet Ty Gibbs 28 to 1 to win this race. I also like betting him top Toyota at 12 to 1. That car has too much speed to think that it's not going to be one of the faster cars on track and be somewhat up there with the rest of those Gibbs Toyotas, the Hamlins, the Christopher Bells, the Truexes. When it comes to bets this weekend, heading into the weekend, I already have a couple locked in. I grabbed Ross Chastain at 18 to 1. I grabbed Bubba Wallace at 22 to 1. I really like those bets. But the main bet that I like heading into this weekend, before we see practice, before we see qualifying, John Hunter Nemechek versus Carson Hocevar, head-to-head bet. I really like John Hunter Nemechek here at minus 110. I already bet this. I put 2.2 units on it to win 2. And we talked about this. If you listen to our Stacking Denny's podcast, my co-host Nick Giffen was the one who found this and really explained it as to why it is such a good bet. John Hunter Nemechek is now in that Legacy Motor Club Toyota. If that is a Tier 1 Toyota speed, Carson Hocevar is on Spire Motorsports, which is a lower tier Chevy team. Based on raw speed alone, not even looking at talent or anything, John Hunter Nemechek has the better car heading into this race. I also have some concerns when it comes to Spire Motorsports. They expanded to 3 teams this year. I want to see how that plays out for them. I think teams often overextend themselves when it comes to having larger race teams. Particularly, we see it with Stewart-Haas Racing in their 4-car operation. I think they could have more speed. They focused it down and had less cars in their stable. So Spire Motorsports was already a lower tier team. Now they added a 3rd car, having to expand all these resources. John Hunter Nemechek over Carson Hocevar. Already locked that bet in. I really like that this weekend. Like I said, there is practice and qualifying this weekend at Las Vegas. That should answer some questions for us, see who's going to be fast. But this is your recap. Make sure you check out RotoBaller. Subscribe to my content package if you haven't already. Use code Jordan24. And if you are, be sure to return, check out the analysis, all the breaking news when it comes to NASCAR. And good luck this weekend in the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.